Freelance work is common in a range of industries, from entertainment to landscaping. If you're a freelancer, you need to understand how to draw up a contract that protects both you and your client. Freelancing contracts provide clear guidance concerning the work to be performed and the compensation that will be paid for that work. Before performing any service for a client, it is important that a freelancer have the client's signature on a contract, obligating them to pay a certain fee for the services in a specific manner and period. Remember that the contract needn't be overly complicated. What's important is that it's clear, specific, and thorough. 1. Defining the work to be performed. Create a title for your contract. The title should be descriptive of the agreement, for example, Independent Consulting, Independent Contractor Agreement, or Freelance Web Design Contract. Center your title in bold type at the top of the contract like this. 2. Name the parties to the contract. After each name, include the title by which you will refer to that party throughout the contract. If dealing with a business, include its full legal name with the Inc. or LLC suffix. Do not include the names of the individuals signing the contract on behalf of that business. Here are two examples. This independent contractor agreement is made and entered into by and between John Doe, contractor, and Jane Smith, client. John Doe, contractor, and Jane Smith, client, agree as follows. 3. Provide a description of services. The length of the description will depend on the complexity of the job. There is no reason to make the description more complicated than necessary. Nevertheless, you should define the scope of work with sufficient clarity that the client knows the work he or she will be getting and you know what work falls inside or outside the contract. Contractor will help client throw a party is too broad. Will you provide food and music, or will you simply hire caterers and musicians to provide these services? Will you hire crew to set up the party and or provide cleanup? You need to provide sufficient detail so that the work doesn't spiral beyond what you thought you were hired to do. You could write, contractor will organize client's party by hiring caterers, musicians, florists, and crew to perform setup and takedown. Contractor will also supervise these same. Sometimes a short description will work. This works best for businesses that provide services that can be summarized in a brief paragraph. For example, a social media consultant might describe the job as follows: setting up and maintaining social media accounts for client with Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Developing and implementing social advertising campaign, and training current staff to continue with social marketing efforts. If you can use a short description, then you might want to type, contractor will provide client with the following services, and then leave some blank lines or space. By doing this, you can reuse the same contract for multiple jobs. With each new job, you can just type or write in the description. 4. Do not be overly detailed if it isn't necessary. Some tasks are self-explanatory. If you are confident there will be no dispute over what work is to be performed, you may want to use general terms for this section of the contract. An example of general terms, as opposed to specific, would be to say paralegal services, secretarial services, or consulting, instead of describing all of the functions of a paralegal, secretary, or consultant. Using general terms will allow you to leave this section unchanged from contract to contract, thereby reducing errors and speeding up the process of producing a contract for each client. 5. Attach project plans and specifications for highly technical work. If you provide a service that relies heavily on technical or design specifications, describing a project in your freelancing contract may mean your contract is several pages long and changes drastically from one client to the next. For services such as this, you may want to describe the job as providing client with services described in the attached project plan. By doing this, you can then attach each client's personal project plan to his or her contract. Using this format gives you the flexibility of describing each job in detail without having to change your entire contract for each new job.